Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm David. Let's talk about Survivor 47, episode 10. It was a nail-biter, this tribal council.
It sure was. We did not know who it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.
And you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/nerdtainment.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for bearing with us. Starting a little later today.
Yeah.
Nice to see you all.
Because David got a haircut.
Got a little, my hair's kicked. A little shorter.
How cute is he? I mean, you're no soul in a vest in the rain,
Whoa.
David, but...
People were swooning, like, in
Were
the
you
show.
not? Were you not?
No, I was, but
Okay.
like, the tribe,
Yes.
the tribe was
Yes.
like, oh my God.
I know. Thank goodness we got the cutaway of Teeny being like, "Be still."
Yeah.
Because that is how I felt. I was like,
Why didn't you talk about your love of Saul while he was on the show? You literally did not start talking about this until he was eliminated.
No, I did. I told you guys, hey, there's something, like, Saul's hot. But it creeps up on me.
We could have had way more fun with this, I feel. You should have been more honest.
Well, I was trying to behave myself. But now the man's in a vest in the rain. I can't behave myself.
With no undershirt. Yeah.
Lord.
Woo.
Okay. I'm still recovering from that. But anyway, there's a show here.
Before we get there, we are coming off of, obviously, Saul's blindside. Saul's not the only one who was blindsided.
I'm blindsided.
Sarah was blindsided. Teeny was blindsided.
Yes.
Genevieve is now apologizing to Teeny. And it's not the first time that Genevieve has left Teeny out of a vote.
No, and I love Teeny, like, not being a pushover, right? Teeny was like, well, you almost did it. You almost embarrassed me. And and is saying it in front of the whole group.
Yeah. Oh, Teeny let her have it a little bit. I mean, she's in her feels. And, you know, she found out from Andy, basically, that, like, Genevieve was the one who was doing it. She's, like, having flashbacks to the Keyshawn vote that she was left out of. And Genevieve is like, we can go talk about it if you want to talk about it. And so they do have a little one-on-one.
But Teeny's like, yeah, of course, obviously I'm going to talk to you about it, but like, give me a minute, which is valid.
Yeah.
Like, all of this, whatever. But I did love, like, on the previously on, we got stuff we didn't see previously. Like, they showed us Andy being like, this was all Genevieve.
Right.
And then when Teeny was voting, Teeny was like, I will avenge you. You know, like, I loved seeing that. But yeah, Genevieve is trying.
She's like trying to soften the blow by being like, well, I wanted him out a long time ago, but I waited because of you. And I'm like, that isn't helping.
Oh, it's not. It's not helping. And like the way that Genevieve was talking here of like, you know, kind of like, I'm sorry I hurt you, but like I'm trying not to play personally here. I was like, I don't know, Genevieve, because I get that at the end game. Like, you have to be willing to cut your alliance members.
I'm like, how deep is it right now?
But if you are always like, hey, we're working together, but I'm going to go ahead and cut you early, or I'm not going to loop you in, then do I really feel like I'm connected to you?
Exactly.
Like, I don't know that that's how we play the beginning middle game. But that's how Genevieve is playing.
She's literally crying, right? In this segment about over these emotional connections that she's making with people. It's Look, we're over here fully fed, fully rested.
Fully.
And they're not well mentally.
True.
So they're having a hard time processing and separating game from personal and all of that. So, you know, we're like 16 days into the game, right?
Yeah.
We're over halfway through. They're losing it. So the next morning, Teeny, I think, wakes up and is like, I wish I had waited to talk. I'm a little embarrassed that I freaked out. She's like, sorry, I freaked. And everyone's like, no, you didn't freak.
I mean, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
David is going to have a cough.
I know, so I have a lingering cough. You guys know I was sick, but I'm not sick anymore. It's just a lingering cough.
Yeah. He told me not to make him laugh.
No, literally. And that's not possible, as you know.
Let's make him laugh, guys.
Yeah. So Genevieve now knows she's a target. Glad she knows. Because everybody knows that she's the one who orchestrated that move.
Yep.
But she's pulling Andy aside, right? Who's like her new Rome, kind of. And Andy's like, I want to get Tuku Blue. Like Kyle or Gabe. We have to split up that duo. They were focused on Sam and Sierra. Now they're focused on Kyle and Gabe. This is like a good strategy.
I'm almost like too little too late. But yes, obviously.
Yeah.
Finally. You got there, yes.
But then Sam and Andy have a one-on-one, and Sam's like, I'm scared of Genevieve. She's got to go.
And Andy's like, yes.
Yeah.
How the tables have turned.
Oh.
Then we get a whole Andy segment. Of course we do, because we're going to get one every episode. And Andy
won't
is
stop.
like, I am in power. I am in power, and look at these people giving me all of the information. And I'm just going to let everyone think that I want them to be my partner.
I'm going to make a really weird comparison that isn't even worth making because it's such a stretch.
Okay.
I'm going to make it anyway.
Okay.
We did not recap Big Brother 15 on the channel. I think we started with 16 when Derek won.
Yeah, we did.
But in
start.
Big Brother 15, where it's actually a problematic season that people hate, but Andy Herron was the winner of that season, and there's an iconic week of that season where Andy won HOH, and they had this amazing edit where every single person in the house was like, I'm good with Andy, so I am totally safe this week.
Right.
That is who Andy Survivor
this Andy.
thinks he is.
Yes.
He's like, I'm good with everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm actually playing people off of each other right now. So, like, I'm the puppet master. And I think he's, like, half right, honestly, if I'm giving him a little bit of credit. Like, I think he actually is pretty close with a lot of people. And he's really benefiting from nobody taking him seriously as a threat right now.
Yes.
He's really in an interesting spot in the game.
He is, but this was the first edit where I was like, oh, wait a minute. This might not be a build him up to win. This might be a build him up to fall, right? It felt a little too, I am the
I'm up
power
here.
man.
Yeah.
When we're not quite there yet, right? Like, we've had the transformation, you know, he's not quite the underdog that he once was.
Right.
But I was like, oh, I don't know that we're here yet, Andy.
He's feeling it.
So I was like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe we're like building up for a big fall. But, you know, he does have some people snowed. Like, we hear from Rachel being like, I guess Andy is my guy.
Andy's my guy.
How did we get here? But this is it.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Because I think Genevieve is with him.
Sam.
But I don't think Andy's with Sam, right? And then Andy's like, Sue, you're my girl. And I was like, wait, what? We've gone too far, Andy. We've gone too far.
I don't know. I don't think it's far enough. The way these edits are going, he's getting a bespoke edit every single episode. Like, look how great Andy is. I gotta say, I'm still not fully buying into it as a viewer, but I'm like, you want me to feel that he is...
I don't know. If you keep telling me he's the man, but he actually doesn't make these votes happen,
right?
Then I don't know. Then I'm start to be like,
what are we doing here?
Man?
Yeah.
But is this when we get the Sue edit?
No, that's later.
Oh my gosh.
That is later, and
Great.
we are gonna have a whole meal over that.
Fantastic. Can't wait.
So we're gonna do the reward challenge.
Yeah.
And we've got 3 teams of 3. I actually like this challenge, even though it's like torture. It's just so intense, and I love the like fight that people put into it, where they're like tied up and shackled and like having to like nose this ball through the sand over mountains.
This challenge was purely created to embarrass the players.
Yes.
And to entertain us.
I'm surprised they don't make them do it through a pool of mud.
It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Being tied like a seal.
Yep.
Bobbling your ball in the sand.
Yeah.
And of course, we have to get, once again, an edit of Andy straight making love to a challenge.
Tongue out, Sarah. He French kissed that ball.
Yeah, no, he took advantage of that ball.
He bit into it and he pushed it with
his
teeth.
The editors love to make it look like he is straight out making out with a challenge.
No, it's very erotic,
it's
his relationship with the challenges.
Also, what's a cookies and cream cake?
Cookies and they're going to Sanctuary where good things happen. Let's not forget.
Let's not.
And everybody on this tribe now is on my train of cheering where good things happen every time they hear the word Sanctuary. So yeah, they're going to get the cookies and cream cake, the wraps, the veggies, the fruit. This is like the kind of reward that I think is actually like nourishing.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
I didn't know what a cookies and cream cake was, but then I saw it, so then I got it. Cookies
What's
and cream is
confusing
an
about that?
ice cream. It's an ice cream. That's what's confusing.
Oh, I see.
I didn't understand that you could put like a chocolate cake and then like
a marbly kind
an
of
Oreo
like,
on top of that with an icing. I didn't understand that.
Okay.
But I got there. I saw
We
it.
got there. You saw it. Now you get it. So the teams quickly. Yellow team is Juice, Genevieve, Sue, and Teeny. A red team is Andy, Caroline, and Gabe. And then blue team is Kyle, Sam, and Rachel. And honestly, I saw this and I was like, blue team's going to win. Kyle and Sam on a team together. Sure enough. Kyle is ripping through the sand part of it, using his shoulder, right? Sort of like nestling the ball here. I don't think we've really seen that strategy before. So that was kind of something fun and new. Sam is now staying back, coaching Rachel, right? See how he's using his shoulder?
Yeah.
You're going to go through the path that he's already forged for you. And she's like, I'm sure she's
Sam.
like, thank you for mansplaining that to me.
So
I
much,
got
Sam.
it.
Yeah.
But then she actually does great.
Yes.
While Andy's over here chomping down on his ball gag, Rachel's lapping him. She's making gains. She passes Genevieve.
Genevieve also is doing horrible, but she's not going to get a horrible edit.
Well, she didn't bite the ball.
She did not make out with anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're not doing well. Kyle is going to fly through it. Rachel's doing great.
Yeah.
Sam is going to go through just fine.
Just fine.
They're going to get up to what's like roll a ball into a hole.
Yeah,
with a bigger ball.
It's like slow-mo skee ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rachel's going to have to try a couple times.
But she gets it. And
we're going to move on. Meanwhile, Jeff is like, Gabe was the fastest I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
Was he? Because I thought Kyle did pretty darn good.
I think if we went back, we might think like, oh, that actually was ADR.
Yeah.
That was added in later.
Kyle, I think, did the best. But okay, if you'd like to give it to Gabe, you can.
Right.
They're not even going to get up to roll the ball.
No, because Kyle takes a few times as well, but he does eventually land it. Sam, one time. One
Sam
and done.
was like, I watched them do it.
They were still like undoing Gabe's shackles.
Yeah.
When the blue team won.
Boom.
Gabe looks
amazing.
So angry. I mean, I would be angry too. The amount of like physical exertion that it takes.
Yeah.
The number of calories you've now burned for nothing. Is like humiliating.
And also you looked humiliating.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Embarrassing.
Love it.
But let's go to Sanctuary where good things happen. And
I thought it was so bizarre that they have not had rice. Rachel's like, rice.
Well, they don't get rice nowadays.
They don't get rice anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't give them rice. That's all they've had. And she's like, I can't believe I haven't had rice yet.
But I'll tell you, they're going ham on the food and they're just stuffing their face holes.
Are you just Midwest from now on, David?
Don't make me laugh. Anytime Kyle says something, I'm like, where's that? What word is it? What word?
I didn't know we were even talking about Kyle.
Oh, he's there. And he's, we're going ham on this food here. Yep. Kyle narrates the beginning of this segment, gives us that. And Sam is going to try his first kiwi. Never tried a kiwi before.
This man.
So
where are his parents? I would like to speak with his
And
parents.
I love how he's like, pineapple over kiwi for me, personally. But
no.
okay.
The way that he's just like, okay, now what is this? I'm like, no.
It's really
you have
unbelievable.
to be told.
It's really unbelievable.
What is this?
Like, if you're like learning if you're like learning the alphabet as a child, they're like, K is for kiwi. Like,
they don't say K's.
No? What do they say? Kite? I guess kite.
K is for Kentucky Fried Chicken, where I came from. Oh, God,
probably where Sam came from. That's probably all he ate. Never had fruit in his life. So he's going to try that. But Kyle is now, I actually loved this from Kyle. He's like,
love it.
It's maybe time for me to flip the script. Because I think maybe he's like, oh, it's not just about being nice here.
Yeah.
And I'm not involved in like what's really happening here. I feel like he's probably getting this sense like things are happening to me. I want to actually make a move, and he's saying, I'm going to flip the script. Gabe and I are going to go after each other at some point, and I want to do it first. And he pitches Gabe to Sam and Rachel.
Yeah, I mean, he has to do this. He has to make it look like I am not part of the Tuku group. Gabe is a threat. I got to go against him.
Well, and you never know when your alliances are going to cut you short, you know?
So I know. So it's such a good point, Natty. Like, you could be allergic to anything at any time. That would take you out.
Oh my God, yeah.
K
that's
is
so
for
true.
kitchen. Thank you.
Okay.
K is for kite. Okay,
Got
great.
it. Thank you all.
I don't
guess
think we
it's
ever
not
said
kiwi.
kiwi. No.
Sam loves the plan, of course.
Sam's like,
'Cause
look,
he's like,
I need people to work with.
And I will get my revenge for the Sierra vote.
Yeah.
So
Fair. That is fair.
Yeah.
But then after Gabe leaves, well, no, I guess before he leaves, they say, "Are like, would Genevieve be our plan B?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Then Kyle's gonna leave, and Rachel's like, "Oh, well, are you BSing? Like, what are you saying here, Sam?" He's
Oh
like,
yeah, I loved that.
Yeah.
Where she's like, so how much of that was just for Kyle's benefit?
Yeah.
Like, what was the truth there? Because she doesn't fully trust Sam, and I think she's smart not to. And it's a totally fair question, and she says it in a non-threatening way.
And then she's also like, just like 6 hours ago, you blew up my spot. Big time.
And
So,
she's also like, I'm not focused on Gabe. I'm actually focused on Genevieve, because I think Genevieve is on to me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to like put my listening ears on and hear what this Gabe thing is about. I'm going to check in and I'm going to make sure that Sam's serious about it. And look, I think that I loved this moment of them like quote unquote having it out. Okay, it's for Kyle. Thank you for that. And, they're sort of realizing like, okay, it feels like maybe at some point there's going to be room for us to make a move together. Rachel and Sam, even though she still kind of feels betrayed by him. But
we'll see
I'm liking this sort of evolution in their relationship.
Okay.
Back at camp.
Andy is
This is when Andy's like,
This is
Sue.
when Sue, my girl.
Sue, mama.
And she's like, yeah.
He's like, I want to work with her because she plays with emotion.
He's like, that's someone I want to sit next to. I'm like, Andy, get in line,
Truly.
sir.
Yeah.
Genevieve has already swooped in there. Gabe tried it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Everyone knows
Sue's the number one commodity at camp. Okay?
I died laughing when Andy was like, you know what? I just need to sit next to Sue.
Of course. Yeah.
Please.
Oh, you finally realized that. Then we get the greatest Sue edit of all time.
Oh, my gosh.
I want to kill him. He's a liar. He's low as me. I don't want to hear about he's poor. He's hypocritical. And he wrote my name down. I want him dead.
Wrote my name. He effing wrote my name down. He bleep my name down. Did you hear he wrote my name down?
I could watch that edit on loop. I'm going to listen to that to go to sleep. That's my new white noise, is listening to Sue make death threats against Kyle.
I was like, first off, do you know how long ago Kyle wrote her name down?
He probably doesn't even remember.
They didn't even know each other's names at that tribal.
He's like, I wrote down Sue because it's the only name I could remember.
I don't know what. He was like, I didn't know where we were in this game. I know he wrote her name down. And she has held a grudge this whole time.
I'm telling you.
And is seemingly, from my perspective, not doing anything else in the game. But waiting for her moment.
She's waiting for the moment. And this goes back to what we were talking about in our last recap, where we're like, people are holding grudges, but they're not needing to act on them immediately. They're just sitting and stewing in their grudges and waiting for whatever that moment is. Sue is perhaps waiting longer than anybody to get Kyle out. Every time this man wins an immunity, she's like, puts her knife back in her sheath, and she's like, I'll slit his throat another day. She is dying to kill him. And she's like, and then Andy goes, Sue, Kyle calls you and Caroline Tweedledee and Tweedledum. And she goes, like, Tweedledee and Tweedledum. The nerve. I will hang that man by his feet.
I was like, Andy, I don't know if that's real. Did you make that up? Because Sue doesn't actually need that information. She's good already. Like, Kyle is
She has enough ammunition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do not tell her that. She's like, oh, that's it.
Oh, my God.
Icing on the cake. He's done.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Oh, goodness gracious, lady.
But then we've got Gabe, Teeny, Caroline, and then another moment where Genevieve kind of wanders in on the conversation.
Yeah.
And Gabe is like, I'm worried about Kyle. So Kyle and Gabe are turning on each other here. And Genevieve's like, if Kyle were in the final tribal, I'm going to vote for him. Which is like kiss
girl,
of death in this game.
Say
yes.
it. And obviously this is smart from Gabe's perspective as well. Like, his target has been rising.
Yeah.
And obviously Kyle has been a bit of a shield for him, but like you got to put the target on Kyle.
Yeah. And he's just like, I know I can count on Kyle. He does what I say. He like aligns with me. I know how he's going to vote every single time, but he's also an easy sell as a vote.
Exactly.
And, you know, I'm kind of feeling in danger, so he's throwing Kyle's name out. So now the reward group returns.
Yes.
Okay. So now Sam and Teeny and Andy are going to
Sam's
up.
like, look, I got to bring in the people that I think I'm working with.
Yeah.
Like, let's get the name Gabe out there.
Yep.
Teeny is on board, although, you know, not super trusting.
She's just basically relating to Sam's position in the game. This, I'm going to predict, is going to be an alliance that actually maybe, like, holds together for a couple of votes. Seems
Teeny
to be
and
the
Sam?
beginning. Teeny, Sam, Andy, and we'll get to the rest in the preview for next week.
Okay.
But Sam kind of calls them the outcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Him, Andy, and Teeny.
Right.
And...
which I think Andy is like, you think I'm an outcast? I am not an outcast.
I'm with the outcasts. I'm with the popular people. I'm with Jeff.
I am running this thing.
Yeah, I'm a producer.
Yep.
But anyway, Teeny's just kind of like, I understand where Sam is coming from, and she's kind of like picking up what he's putting down a little bit. But then at night, Teeny's gonna have some feelings.
Yeah, Teeny's going through some things.
Yeah.
This turns into a very interesting edit. It turns into like a beautiful edit at first of like, you know, this low point, not, I guess, realizing that relationships in the game were not what they thought they were.
Yeah.
And then that connecting to
Real life.
Yeah.
It's really interesting how, I mean, when you're on the show, all you have time to do is think.
Ugh.
There's no phone. There are no distractions.
Yeah.
Especially when like it's nighttime and you can't sleep and there's nobody to talk to. You're just thinking and you're relating the game to real life and you're pulling in your outside experiences and, you know, how is that affecting how I'm able to move through this group and all of this stuff. So, she shares about her non-binary journey and she goes by she, they, and, you know, the pronouns are fluid and she's just sort of like processing her place in this game, as well as how she processed her place in the like binary world of male, female, and all of that stuff. And then her bag catches on fire.
And then the bag catches. It's like I'm like, oh my god, we're going on such a journey. And then the bag is on fire, and I'm like, yeah, burn it all to the ground, Timmy. I was like, yes, rise up. I was like, yes, go with this metaphor.
Oh, well, she turned the burned bag into a whole metaphor that I could not fully track. But I was like, I'm glad this means something to you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm like, why is your bag on fire? What's happening?
Truly.
How did that
What's
happen?
going on with
I
the
don't
fire?
know, but
yeah.
you set it on fire,
Look,
okay?
if this is what gives Teeny new fire and new life in this game, I'm here for it.
If this means Teeny wins making fire, I'm here for it.
Okay. Love it. So that takes us into immunity, where we're going to balance the ball and the disc, but now it's balls. I don't know. Is it always multiple balls?
I feel like we've seen this.
But now Jeff makes it seem like we're up in the ante a little bit. Maybe the like balancing on the plank is an additional layer to this challenge.
Yeah, I don't think we were on a beam, maybe.
Okay.
But this is the negotiation.
Rice negotiation.
Jeff's going to say rice negotiation. Gabe's going to negotiate. And Jeff's going to say, no, absolutely not. I was like, wait, I thought you just set us up for a negotiation.
Gabe says, is there any way you'll take 3 people? No.
No. I was in like, what? Then why is it?
Then how is
it a negotiation?
Where's their wiggle room?
Right.
Caroline's like, what if we gave up 2 shots in the dark? Now, I would like to take a moment and just clarify with everybody watching here. It's not shot in the darks.
Nope.
It's
apparently.
Shots in the dark.
Apparently.
That's going to be the plural.
Shots.
Okay?
Yep.
But we hear shot in the darks a lot.
Shots.
In this edit. But just so we are all on the same page. The plural of shot in the dark is shots in the dark. Just as the plural of like sister-in-law is sisters-in-law.
Oh. Well,
right? Because like the sister is the noun, and the noun is the thing you make plural, right? So shots in the dark. Just wanted to make it just a little lesson.
I was gonna. Okay.
I'm sure you all knew that, but Jeff Probst doesn't. So anyway, shots in the dark. Caroline offers 2 shots in the dark, and I think Jeff is a little bit like, wait, what? You want to give up your shot in the darks?
You want to give up this amazing
advantage that we invented?
Producers worked really hard to
And
create
he's like,
y'all?
no, you may not. And Kyle's like, let's burn them all.
He's
and
like,
Jeff's like,
what if?
I'm out of here.
Nah. Jeff's
All of them?
Just like, hold up. I gotta talk to my people. They had to confer. Because he's like, this just got interesting. Jeff's like, what? Because I think in Jeff's head, this is one of the best advantages there is in the game.
Jeff is like, this is a massive sacrifice.
Massive.
And I'm like, Jeff, you are not receiving the message.
You are not.
What they are telling you is, get this stupid dice thing out of here.
Advantages. Let us play, I don't know, old school Survivor. What if we just showed up and voted?
I don't even want this thing. It's so useless.
But yeah, the producers were like, this is so juicy. They're willing to give up one of the best things we've ever created. Yeah, actually, that is worth
take
rice.
it. Yeah. Rachel's like, I don't even have one.
Good on her.
Yeah.
Great.
I already blew mine. It didn't help me at all. She's basically like, everybody, give it up because it's not going to help you.
Yeah.
So they all hand him over, and Jeff's like, wow, history in the making.
Yeah.
Can't believe we got rid of this. And I'm like, please let this be the last time we see the shot in the dark.
history. That's how he was thinking. This is going to be history. They're doing all of this for the rice when they're like, please, we'll just take the rice.
I'm happy to have the rice.
Happy. You mean we could just play the game
Can we
and
just go
have
back
rice?
to pre-pandemic
Yeah.
Survivor where we get rice and we don't have this stupid shot in the dark thing?
Right.
Yeah.
What a concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they and producers were completely on a different page.
Sam is a little hesitant. He's the
Yeah.
only one who's like, I'm not totally safe, whatever. And Gabe's like, your vote is more powerful than the shot in the dark. And Sam's like, I'm not going to die on the hill. Fine, whatever.
I know Gabe came in really hot on this. And I think at that point Sam's like, I don't agree with anything you're saying, Gabe.
But you're freaking me out.
But obviously my social game is more important at this point.
Yeah,
so
right.
I think he had to do what he had to do.
So we get on our planks. Everybody's playing. Nobody's like volunteered to sit out, whatever. Everybody's balancing their ball on the disc. And the wind starts. The amount of sound effects they added to this edit of whooshing, 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 and zooming in on the trees moving. The balls are barely moving. It's not that crazy. Everybody makes it through the one ball round.
Yes. They're all going to move on. They get to step off. Then they're going to add a ball. So now they're holding two.
Now it's actually more complicated.
Yeah.
So we actually get like a sequence of people who are now dropping. Caroline's the first out. Andy drops after her. Rachel, Genevieve, Gabe. 5 people are now dropping in this second round with the 2 balls. Because it's just tough when they start to like...
They start to droop.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then the next round is 3 balls.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got 4 people left, right? Teeny, Sam, Kyle, and Sue.
Yeah.
Are 4 left.
We put 4 on, or 3 on.
Yeah.
Teeny and Sam are going to drop.
Yeah, because the wind comes back.
The wind.
Teeny and Sam drop. So it's Kyle versus Sue. Tale as old as time.
Poetic.
Beauty versus the Beast.
Sue is like, give this to me.
And it's interesting. Sue, I mean, I'm very impressed with Sue's performance in these immunity challenges across the board. Okay. They have slightly different strategies, I'm noticing. Kyle's kind of balancing the disc against his forearm. Sue's straight up like, I am holding this like a server tray or something. Mm-hmm. But it's so solid. I thought there was a good chance that Sue was going to win it. But Kyle pulls it off. His 4th time wearing the individual immunity necklace.
3.5 wins here for Kyle. I was like, wow, because this honestly is not some sort of strength, mind.
I know. Some people are just gifted with these
Kyle
sort of
had
like
pure luck for this.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this was luck.
Yeah.
Just does your ball roll a little bit this way? Like,
yeah.
I don't know, but he can win anything and everything. And so
thank you
he
for
does.
it, because I want those points.
And the way that Sue said, good job, Kyle.
Good job, Kyle.
As she walked off.
She's pissed, but she's not going to cry about it.
There was such disdain in her.
Again,
good job.
She
Kyle.
puts that dagger back in in her
to
bag.
her sheath.
And she's like,
"I
get
will
him
get
next
you."
time.
And she's not going to get to do it this time.
So now, of course, we kind of have to reconfigure because some of the people were targeting Kyle pre-immunity challenge. So we go back to camp. Sam, Teeny, and Andy are going to regroup on the
They're
Gabe
like,
situation.
"We're still good, Gabe.
We're good. Let's get Gabe now."
Gabe.
And now Gabe is like, well, I can't pitch Kyle anymore, so I got to go on the Genevieve train.
Right? Gabe's like, remember when Genevieve did that amazing vote for Saul?
Oh, and Gabe is also like, honestly, I've never felt better in the game.
Yeah.
The fact that we have 4 Tuku Blues right now, we're going to have...
We're
moving on to next week with 4 Tuku Blues.
Yep.
We're going to be in the final 8 with
yeah.
4 Tuku Blues. There's no way a Tuku's going home.
And honestly, I'm like, I know. How did we get here? Literally, how? Are they leaving you guys all together?
Yeah.
It's wild.
Gabe goes to Caroline and he's like, it's Yumi and Sue. We're the final 3.
Yep.
He's just like hot on himself for some reason right now.
Well, I think he's trying to make it true.
I guess he's like
right?
trying to manifest something.
Like if I say it, it'll happen?
Yeah.
Yeah?
And now Caroline. You know, I don't know about Gabe.
Caroline's like, I am loyal
She's
to a point.
To a point. And she's like, I know Sue is also loyal to a point, which is the end of the game, and that she's never going to vote for Gabe. So I am thinking about voting for Gabe and feeling like I need to get him at some point. And I knew this time was going to come, that Caroline and Gabe were going to have a moment where it was like, which one of us is going to get Sue? So Caroline's having these thoughts, but she's not sure how to handle it with Sue.
Yeah, this was interesting because, you imagine Caroline is going to get to this point at some point.
Yeah.
But, like, what spurred it at this moment? Like, did she hear some rumblings? Because the way she goes to Andy as if, like, I'd be good to go with Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
But then is like, oh, I don't know if this is the time to go with Gabe.
Yeah.
Like, I still have to think about Sue. Maybe Genevieve is better now. Then I was like, wait, is she wishy-washy? Because if you are, like, bringing this up right now is not a good idea.
Yeah.
That gets back to Gabe. You are screwed. You're
Exactly.
toast.
Exactly.
So I was a little confused if
But
it was...
how does she then also protect her alliance with Sue, right?
Yeah, like, you can't tell Sue. You know
Yeah.
you can't tell Sue. How do you navigate this?
And if you decide to vote for Gabe after the fact, how are you going to explain that?
Yes.
And like win her back? It's a very tricky position for her to be
Yeah,
in.
and so I wasn't convinced Gabe was going because of this whole, like, do I buy this with Caroline?
Well, and then on top of that, Rachel is out here questioning the Gabe move because she's like, I actually love Gabe as a shield. And she's just kind of questioning to herself and also to like Kyle, for example. And she's like, who's the target after Gabe, right? Like if we get Gabe this vote, who are they coming for next? And Kyle's like, I think it's probably me. And she's like, right.
Right, but it was already him.
Yeah, true. But she's like, why don't we get Genevieve?
Yeah.
Let's get out someone that we can get Gabe out later. He's always going to be a target.
Yeah, I don't honestly buy this. Because are you talking about the Rachel conversation
Yeah,
at this
the Rachel.
point?
Yeah.
Because, so as much as I want Rachel to be like this just strategic mastermind, because I do think she's so close.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't buy this. Because, or at least I think she's wrong. She may not see the full picture, though, like we see it. Where she's like, we can get Gabe out anytime. It's like, no, you can't. He's insulated with Tukus. Like, we look like we might have Kyle and Caroline right now.
Okay, that's
but that
fair.
is not always. Like, they could very well be a voting block if you whittle everyone else away, right?
Fair.
Genevieve is an island. Some people want to work with her, some people don't. Like, you've got to go get Gabe. Like, that's...
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
kinda
that
how I was
probably
thinking.
ultimately is why the votes fell where they fell. And Rachel didn't push so hard on this Genevieve thing. But
Yeah.
what I like about this is that Rachel's right. Genevieve is after her. For weeks, tribals on tribals, Genevieve
Right.
has been like, Rachel is so smart and we have to get her out of this game. So I'm glad that Rachel realizes that Genevieve is after her. And that's what you need to be thinking about as an individual player. Who's throwing out my name?
True.
And do I need to get them out? But I think you're right. Ultimately, she realizes like this is not the moment, even though the editors need us to think that it might be the moment.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly was confused.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Genevieve is now like, ahead of Tribal. Like, I'm regretting giving up my shot in the dark, and I'm like, how much did the producers pay you to say that?
A lot.
And then we get a great sort of Genevieve versus Gabe confessional battle.
What? Yes.
And you're like, it's gonna be one of them.
And they even like come up to each other. Gabe's like, so.
Yeah.
And Genevieve's like, so.
So.
And like she gives him nothing, and he's like trying to do a little manipulation, and I'm like, oh my god, they're both very good players.
Yeah,
this is juicy,
and I genuinely didn't really know how it was gonna go down, and I loved this pouring rain tribal. The people I felt the worst for were Genevieve and Rachel with their glasses. I related to that so much. Where your glasses
I was too. I was like, and they're
not
in rain, they're not wiping anything off. And Jeff's like, I would be like, what was that, Jeff?
I know.
Okay. Yeah, I felt for that as well. Also Genevieve looked like me in the rain.
She did.
Like absolutely
miserable and freezing.
Miserable. I become weak and pathetic in the rain, and everybody else is like, it's raining on me.
Oh, Gabe is like, I'm good in my hoodie right now.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
And she's like,
I mean, you and Genevieve are also just like thin people, and it's like cold. Like cold. The water makes you cold.
When you're wet, you get colder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she looked very miserable. But this tribal is basically the questions are around like what, where, who is the community, right? Like what is going on? And I actually think it's a fair conversation for this season because the power really has shifted a lot. And it's almost like that season where we were talking about voting blocks a lot, but it's almost more random than that. It's like the only alliance, from my perspective, I'm curious your thoughts, that's really solid would be like Gabe, Sue, and Caroline.
Yeah.
Other than that,
tribes
have turned on each other and then come back. And it's really been just like when it's convenient for them. It's like whenever you agree with me, I'll work with you to make a move.
Yeah, no. Gabe, Sue, Caroline were the only solid alliance. Everybody else seems to just be like, I'm going to take out the threats, which I like to see. And we've had plenty of good players, so it makes sense. Take out your Romes, take out your Sauls.
Right.
Like, these are good players. You've got to split up a Sierra and Sam. Like, it makes sense to go back and forth. It was shocking that you were even leaving this alliance in, but we didn't realize that alliance was secret. They didn't realize that was being left in the game. I did not think there was anything interesting in this tribal, so I'm glad you had something to bring to the table.
I liked that they managed to get a shot of Sierra and Saul acting shocked that they gave up the shots in the dark.
They were like, what? What is this?
And then, it's sort of a boring tribal where Jeff's like, what are you thinking about for this vote? Gabe's like, who do I want to sit with at the end? It's kind of like boilerplate, blah, blah, blah.
And for those in the comments who were not here for the top of this episode.
Oh, yeah, please share.
We have discussed Saul in the vest.
Saul in the vest in the rain.
That was the highlight of this tribal. Maybe I have no notes on the tribal because I was still recovering from watching Saul
When Saul was not on camera, you were picturing him.
I was like,
in the rain.
What did I just
soaking wet.
witness?
Yeah.
That happened. Never has a jury walk-in captivated us.
Dramatic.
So much.
Yeah.
The man walked in and the rain was just.
Yeah.
It was too much.
It was glistening on his bare chest.
Glistening!
Yes.
Woo! Okay.
Ooh, Sarah, let me fan you off a little bit.
Still.
The one thing I want to mention before we go to the vote was Genevieve is like being open and honest about like, I have noticed the change in communication. People who were talking to me last tribal are not talking to me now. That makes me feel like it's because they believe I won't be here anymore and they don't need to talk to me anymore. And again, I wish I had the shot in the dark.
Yep.
Anyway.
We
go to the vote.
Let's vote.
I loved this. We see Genevieve vote Gabe and we see Gabe vote Genevieve. Then we see Rachel vote, but we don't see her vote.
No.
And she says, you're the biggest threat here and they'd be fools not to get you. I thought she was referring to Genevieve.
I did too. I was like, well, that's obviously Genevieve.
Kyle gets up there. And it's like he stands there and he goes, oh my God, they both start with G. Like he had a realization.
I think he was trying to figure out who to vote for. David, I think is what he was doing. Which now this is like, he's not going to stand there and think about Genevieve that long.
No, it's the weighing of the
leaning
Gabe.
towards Gabe if he's taking so long. But after we read the votes, it'd have been like, sir, if you had voted Genevieve, it would not have mattered. Like,
Yeah.
was he trying to do a pity vote, or did he not know which way the votes were really going to go?
Right. Did he really think, like, maybe Caroline will vote Genevieve? You know?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know.
he was probably counting numbers in his head.
So still, I'm confused. Is it Genevieve or Gabe?
Well,
And Genevieve
they were
is
not
literally like...
she is on the edge of her seat waiting for an idol to get played. And because when she casts her vote for Gabe, she's like, if you play an idol, I'm screwed. And even if you don't play an idol, I might be screwed.
I might still be
so
screwed.
she's like nail biting when the idol question is asked. No idols. And then it's Gabe, and then it's Genevieve, and then it's Genevieve. And Gabe is breathing a huge sigh of relief.
Yeah, because
and
she
he's
hears
like,
that second one in a row. She's like,
it's over. And then it's Gabe, and then it's Gabe, and then it's Gabe.
And then Gabe's like, oh, no, it was actually me.
It was actually me. And your only ride or die in the game was good old Sue.
And Sue gonna be pissed.
Oh, she's...
Is
but
she
I
gonna blame
actually,
it on Kyle?
I was fascinated that she stood up and she was like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I thought in that moment that it meant she turned on him.
Oh.
But then when we saw the votes, she was loyal to him and she voted
like,
Genevieve.
I'm sorry this happened to you.
Yeah.
Love of my life in this game.
Gabe goes out, all confidence. He is a good player. He knows he's a good player. But he got.
He told Jeff,
I'll be back.
I'll be back. And I was like, wait, no, Jeff is the one that tells you.
Jeff decides that.
Jeff is the one who decides.
But I mean, I do think he's a good player.
Oh my God, yeah.
I don't know that you made like a massive mark on Survivor history, but like, you know, maybe if there's another season coming up, say a season 50 where it's all returning players, maybe you're in the mix.
I don't know what I don't know what we're doing for 50.
If it's a heroes versus villains, I could see Gabe being a villain.
Maybe. I mean, he never really became like a true villain. Like,
but he had villain energy.
He had some.
He basically came into this game like, everybody's stupid and I'm smart and I'm going to outsmart them.
He was very smart. He was a very good player.
He is a very smart, good player.
To go.
Yeah.
For anyone else. I mean, it was so
It's just
wild.
fascinating to me when people lose and then they're like, well, I was going to win. And it's like, no, actually, you lost. Like, they got you. That's how the game works.
But if he hadn't got, he had a very high chance of winning.
Yeah. But you see what I'm saying.
No, of course.
That's absurd.
Like, you lost.
If they hadn't voted me out, I would have won. But they voted you out. So what is this thought experiment about?
That is the one thing that they can carry with them, David. You are taking away their one thing.
It's just kind of like, I don't know. I think I would like to believe that if I were on this show and I got voted out, my exit press would be like, well, they got me.
Yeah.
You know? A little humility of like, thought I played a good game, but obviously it wasn't that good because they got me.
They got me.
Your game was only good enough for like final 9.
That's
not that great.
Yeah, Gabe had interesting, like he said, I knew 9 was going to be hard for me. He was like,
interesting.
He was like trying to think about who to pitch at what time because at 9 he knew the target would turn on him. I don't know how he figured that out, but he's a smart person. And so that's why he was glad that Genevieve sort of stepped up and he could kind of pitch her. Otherwise, he was like, who do I pitch?
Who would I target? Well, it would be Kyle, but then Kyle won immunity.
Wins, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did get caught, and I just think like he had to go.
He had to go. It was a good vote. He was a good player.
He was.
If you had let him into the end game, he probably would have run it. So it was a smart move to get him out. I think he'll be a really interesting jury member. I think he's going to be really thoughtful, and he's going to ask good questions in the final jury. We'll see how that plays out.
I mean, still on that same line, like, but Caroline was coming for him. Kyle was going to come for him.
Yeah.
Like, it was not going to be an easy road.
No.
Even if he survived this. You know, there was that edit where he and Genevieve both were like, if I can just make it past tonight, I've got a good road ahead of me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't think you do. Yeah. Either one of you. I think you're both seen as threats.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard every single tribal.
Yep.
I would think.
The preview for next time, we see them doing that challenge where you're like balancing the block letters thing. And then you're like holding onto the rope.
Yes.
So it's probably like the word immunity or something like that. So we're getting that challenge.
Love it.
And Andy feels like he's in a crushing position. So I'm sure we're going to get another epic Andy edit.
Another Andy edit. What are they telling us, you guys? Like, I just want to know what happens with Andy.
I know.
At this point. I don't even care who wins.
He's going to be in Final 3.
What is happening with Andy?
Yeah.
But like, does he win fire?
Oh,
Does
it's
he
got to be
lose
something epic
fire?
like that.
Does he get someone out finally? Like, does he actually make a move?
Does he hand over an immunity necklace and la 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 la?
Like, what are they setting us up for?
Yeah, they are making him a very important piece of this season.
Right. And again,
and it doesn't feel totally earned yet.
Yes, he has not followed through.
Yeah.
So, like, why? And Rachel is becoming more and more of the edit, which I love.
Me too. On my draft team.
Okay, where are we going with this?
Yeah.
She does have an idol, but Sue still has an idol.
True.
Sue is not in the edit unless she is talking about Kyle.
Murdering Kyle. Murdering. Let's be clear. She wants to kill him.
And you know, there have been multiple exit interviews where people have been like, well, Sue said some really personal stuff. And now I'm like, I can see.
About Kyle.
Well, about people.
Oh, really?
I don't think it was limited to Kyle, but I see now
Honestly,
her personality.
Me and Sue have a lot in common. In the exit press about me, people be like, ooh, David said some really personal things.
They did not show everything, David. That's the vibe.
Oh my god.
Chantel, I don't know how many titles has he coined. Have there been
interesting
a few?
question. That should be a draft thing.
Oh,
if you say the episode title, you get a point.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
I like that.
Let's pull up the.
Should we pull up the draft?
Since Chantel
Since Chantel's here.
Let's see. How did you do this week, Chantel? You did gain 3 points. You're up to 38 points. Chantel.
Oh, you're tied with the audience.
Oh, you guys are tied now.
That's good.
This mofo went into the lead.
Kyle, thank you for all these points.
Yep. Kyle.
1 point ahead of Sarah. It's still a close game.
It sure is. I moved ahead of Claire. Claire's at 71. I'm at 73. David's at 74.
Okay, but here's the thing. Claire has 3 players left. You just lost Gabe, so you've only got Sam left, but that's a good player.
Yeah, he's not really.
Claire has Andy, Caroline, and Teeny.
Yeah, Claire's got the...
Oh, and that was part of the preview.
Oh.
Okay, remember how I was alluding to Sam, Teeny, and Andy being a thing? Add Caroline and Sue, and we see the 5 of them at the well, and they're like, let's lock this in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's an interesting alliance.
It is. You know what, though? I guarantee you, cut to the next scene, Sue being like, I would never.
I will murder Sam.
I will. They tried to talk game with me when I was sleeping on the beach, and I'll never play like that. There's no way that she just is on board for it.
She'll be like, men my whole life have tried to tell me how to do things.
Tell me.
Sam and Andy, who do they think they are?
Nope, not gonna happen. We'll see. We'll see what actually happens with that group.
Yeah.
I might be cooked. I do have Sam, but Sam's not gonna win this game.
No.
No.
Who do you think is most likely?
Telling us he's
I honestly would say, for me, Rachel, not just because she's on my draft team, but I could see her doing it. Genevieve, I still have faith in if she can lay low for the next tribal.
Yeah.
And I would say Caroline, I could see her really coming to life in the end game and owning it.
Yep. I think Rachel, Genevieve, Caroline, and Andy have a good shot.
Oh my God.
At winning. I would say Teeny has a good shot for going to the end.
Yeah, but I don't think she's really built in that impressive of a resume.
No, we're getting a lot of story from Teeny, so I do feel like significant stuff is happening, but it might be like to no avail. Yeah, is what it kind of feels like. But I don't feel like Sam's gonna be able to pull it out.
No. Kyle's days are numbered.
I don't feel like Kyle could pull it out at this point, even if he won out the rest of the season, which he's about to win records.
Yeah.
Like he's tied, I believe, Ozzy at this point.
I know, he's already won 4, and it's like they're basically 4 immunities in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he could win out the whole thing, and I still don't think he wins the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But I like this cast so much.
Me too. This is a fun season.
Yeah. It really is. Also, they announced this week that it's going to be a 2-part finale.
Yeah.
I don't really know what that means other than we're going to get a
2-hour.
It's a whole extra episode.
Mm-hmm.
But the last 2 episodes, December, I believe it's 11th and 18th, are both going to be 2 hours.
So buckle up for that.
David's going to be like, oh, too much Survivor.
You know how I feel about that.
But finales,
but I love
come
it.
on.
I
Give
love
me
those
2
finale
hours.
episodes.
Yeah.
I do.
So hang tight. We got a lot of Survivor coming up.
Yes.
You guys in the chat, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you.
And if you're joining us later, please leave us a comment and let us know how you feel about Gabe's ouster, Genevieve squeaking by this vote, and who do you think is next? Let us know your predictions.
Right, can Genevieve squeak by again? Or is Kyle in danger?
He's toast as soon as they can.
I don't know. Even though he's winning, I would not be targeting Kyle. Because I don't think he can win the game.
Yeah.
But that's me having all the information.
That's right.
Ooh, thank you for the thumbs up. Get your notifications. Next week is Thanksgiving.
Right.
So we will not be here on Thursday. My exit press will not be here on Thursday as well. That gets pushed to Monday, and I think we're live on Sunday, right?
Perfect.
Sunday, December 1st.
Sounds good.
And November 30th is my birthday.
Oh, boy. We'll do a day late celebration on the 1st.
Yep. Sunday's recap will be a
Yes.
birthday recap.
Love it.
Yay. All right. We'll see you guys then.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.